to it. Strawberry forms were supposed to be due today, yeah. And obviously we're not gonna try and do like pictures of that stuff or anything. So we left enough of a buffer time that between when those orders were due for us and when they're due to Florida Farm Bureau. So those will just be due on Monday. So make sure you bring your order forms and your cash for your cash or checks for your orders on Monday when you come to school. Also filled out or handed out officer applications on Thursday. So if you got one of those bad boys, take a look at it, use this time to fill it out. Really excited about the number of people who took an application. I handed out 42 applications yesterday. I will not get 42 applications back, but I was very excited that I handed out 42. So if you have any questions or if you missed that, just let me know. There's a video online that is the one how I explained it to the freshmen, so it's a little bit more in depth. If you want to watch that, you can. Also, those are due back on the 24th of February, so it gives you about 2 3/4 weeks to fill that out. So if you do end up quarantined, or if you start quarantine, or if you finish quarantined, it should give you enough time to be able to grab those and get them in. January AET entries, make sure you guys do those. You're supposed to have 5. Those are due on Tuesday, which means I will check them sometime after Tuesday, which means it might not necessarily be like Tuesday or Wednesday, so you're kind of gambling with yourself if you wait until after that to get them done. But try to have those 5 done on Tuesday. Yay. Other stuff, I guess, I sent you, if you guys saw it on the remind, I sent you guys a survey this morning, if you haven't filled that out yet. So obviously glad you guys got on for live class, and we're gonna talk about floral design, hopefully finish it today. I don't know if we will, but that's kind of the goal, so that next week we can just dive in. But actually, we'll probably have a little quiz on it as soon as we're done. So if we finish today, we'll have a quiz on Monday. If we finish on Monday, we'll have a quiz on Tuesday. But finish floral design. So there will be a task for you to do with that, and I'll explain that in just a second. But I also sent out that survey. So your attendance for class today will be based on you completing that survey. So glad that you're here. Do the task. It'll be for participation points. But you do want to go ahead and fill out that survey to count for attendance. It is, if you were at the committee meeting yesterday, you've got a little bit of an idea as to why we're doing this survey. If not, it'll be a pleasant surprise for you down the road when we do it. But it is for a future event, and it is, there aren't any right answers, so just kind of have fun with it and fill that out for me. So like I said, that will count for your attendance for today, so just make sure that you get on and do that. And I was super impressed, like right off the, oh, I already have 50 responses. So many. So if you haven't done that yet today, go ahead and make sure that you do that. At some point throughout today's video, I'm going to give you a code word, just because I think it's fun. It's kind of like the radio stations, but when you hear their code word and call in, they give you like $1,000 bucks. I don't have that for you, but I will give you points. So that code word, when I tell it to you, that needs to be your subject of your email for today. So if you have your book with you when we're learning about floral design, it'll save you some time in the long run to just go ahead and write this stuff that I'm going to tell you in there. And then just take a picture of that and send it to me. If you don't have your book with you, if you want to jot this down on another piece of paper and then take a picture of that and send it to me, if you just want to type up an email that if you just want to type up an email that kind of outlines the main points that we talk about today, that's super cool. Just something that I know that you're engaged in participating through the end. So that's your assignment for today. You send that in, you will get your points for that. But you have to use the code word as the subject. Layla, if I put the survey link in the chat, can you do it on your computer?
Where's the survey at?
I sent it on Remind and it's on the classroom, but I also just sent it in the chat. So if you guys want to access it that way, you can. So it should be on your phone on Remind or either way that you access the classroom. And it's also, yeah, it's just a Google Doc and it's like 18 questions. But like I said, they're super fun. So you can be entertaining with your answers if you want to. It's just for an event down the road, but we need everybody's answers, so important. Right. Well, I will go ahead and get cranking so we can do fun stuff on Monday. So we've talked about floral design, right? What are your most popular types of flowers? Anybody know?
It's the roses, carnations, and then like the jer or something word.
So roses, yep, roses, carnations, Gerbera daisies, which are just kind of your classic daisies, and chrysanthemums. So those could be in the large mum type of flower or just like the little chrysanthemums that you get in the bushes in the fall. Either one, what we just call like mums. Who was the first to do floral, to cut flowers and put them in a vase and make them pretty?
Chinese.
Chinese. Yeah. And so yesterday we started talking about the different types of arrangement. So we talked, and just to review this really quick, if you missed it, there's another video online that you can watch that goes into it deeper. But we talked about oriental arrangements, which are very line oriented, right? So usually they have very little actual floral mass, but they're very artistic, very linear, kind of goes back to that Asian culture. Our traditional arrangement or our Western arrangement, if we remember, like we said, everything's bigger in Texas. So Western traditional is very full, just a lot of mass, a lot of flower, a lot of stuff in the arrangement. And then your modern arrangement, just similar to Fight Club. The only rule about Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. The only rule about modern arrangements is there are no rules about modern arrangements. So it's really kind of up to the artist, to like the designer's taste, much like an abstract painting where you're like, oh my gosh, what the heck is that? And you're like, it's abstract. You don't get it, right? So very similar. It's kind of just a catch-all. If you look at this one here, it's kind of got the lineal, like oriental base because it's got that long piece that goes up. But instead of it just being a line, it's got some more mass on it. So it's kind of like a combination between the two. This one's much lower and fuller, so we kind of call that modern. Yeah. So when we get into different design elements, different things that you need to think of when you are designing, bells are singing right now, it's still ringing. When you are designing an arrangement, is design is the actual pattern, and it really comes down to the shape and size of the floral arrangement. So what all you choose to do, but there's a couple different elements that go with that. So the first principle of design that we need to think about when we are creating our floral bouquets is balance. So some of us talked about this yesterday, some of us didn't quite get to it. So we'll just kind of zoom through it for those who didn't. But balance can be both visual and physical, right? So physical balance, meaning if I have a giant, like straight up vase that's like 3 feet tall. Thank you so much.
Half a flat to Aiden.
Okay.
I told him I would buy some from him, and I wasn't here yesterday, and he's not here today.
Perfect. I'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. With balance, Mr. Bissell stopped by. With balance, it can be both physical and visual. So again, physical wise, if I have a really tall vase, it's like 3 feet tall. First of all, balance, like I guess this is more proportion, but I don't want to put a really huge flower on this side of the arrangement and then little tiny ones here, where every time I try to stand that up, what's going to happen to it?
It's gonna fall.
Right? It's not going to stay up. So balance wise of actually it being able to balance, right? The arrangement actually being able to stay up. And then also balance where it's kind of symmetrical in color and shape and size. So when you look at it, your eyes aren't like bouncing all over the place. Like if you have a really bright color and then a lot of neutrals, maybe those bright colors are in the center, or however it is that you want to balance that arrangement, but you make it visually appealing where it's not like one really bright flower here and then the rest of this mass is all like white, right? Because that would look kind of funky. So thinking about the distribution of materials for physical balance, and then also like looking balanced to the eye. So that's symmetrical, asymmetrical, open, whatever you're choosing to do, but making sure that it's visually appealing. Does that make sense? So if you're gonna make it symmetrical, obviously you guys know symmetry as being what? We kind of talked about the elm leaves. What does symmetry mean? What's symmetrical?
It's like equal on both sides.
Yeah, if we cut it down the middle, it would be the exact same on both sides. Asymmetrical then would be if it's not necessarily exactly the same, but like I have a white flower and a white flower, they might be different textures, but color-wise, it's symmetrical. So like it's balanced, but it's not necessarily symmetrical because it's not the exact same, okay? So when we talk about something being symmetrical, this picture is a good example of it, where if I cut, she's kind of holding it crooked, but if I cut this right down the middle, it's gonna be the same on either side because it's all those small white flowers. So asymmetrical then is when it's unique. It's a little bit more informal, but it looks balanced again to the eye. So this is obviously not symmetrical, right? You've got a real big flower back here. You've got this green draping over here. You've got some more lamb's ear looking stuff over here. You've got orange in the middle. You've got some orange over here. You've got some pink up here. It's all in different places, but when you look at it, you say, oh, that's pretty, right? And it kind of flows because they've got the smaller stuff here in the middle, and then they've got like the drapery on the sides. So it's kind of balanced in texture, but not necessarily like in color, okay? Kind of a weird rule to explain. Open balance then is, again, kind of like you make your own rules. So it might be something parallel, it might be something circular, it's balanced, but again, it might be like in a unique way. So this would be a circular balance because if you look like all of this flower's in the very top and it's almost kind of wreathy the way that it layers down, okay? So it's almost more like a layered cake than it is like a ball of arrangement. Does balance make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
When we're talking about proportion, scale, and balance and physical balance are kind of the same. So again, this is looking more at like the size. So less at the color, more at the size. So the size relationship between the elements, and kind of being proportionate to the container, proportionate to the setting. So if I am at a wedding, okay, and I'm sitting at a round table, and it's not a very big round table, what kind of centerpiece do I want?
You'd want like a smaller one.
Yeah, you want one that's proportionate to the size of the table, right? But also height-wise, if it's something where people are going to be dining and it's like a round table, I either want one that's short, okay, that people can see over really easily, or if I want a tall arrangement, that might be for some of you who maybe are into those wedding Pinterest boards already or something, is maybe you've got a really tall, skinny vase, and at the top it's got a large arrangement so that you're almost like looking under it, okay? That would obviously, you'd want like a bigger table for that. You don't want like a 4-person table with this giant like tree coming out of the middle. But you want to proportion it to the table it's sitting on, the setting that it's in, but you also want the arrangement proportional to the vase or the container that it's in. So this comes back to like, if you imagine those really tall, like skinny vases, okay? Imagine it like 3 foot tall. I don't then want this little tiny like head size arrangement at the top of it because it's going to look like a lowercase I, right? So if I'm going to have that tall of a vase, I want something a little bit larger at the top of it. That being said, if I have a teeny tiny little vase, like a little square one, I don't want to try and put too much stuff on it where then you can't even see the vase. So proportionate to the container, proportionate to the setting as well. So a couple rules, proportions, a lot of times it kind of comes back to that rule of 3 when we talked about public speaking. Groupings of 3 to 5, like those odd number groupings are really pleasing when you're looking at groups of different maybe types of patterns. Also, a general rule is you want the floral design to be 1.5 to 2 times the size of the container in either height or width. So the floral design itself should be a little bit larger than the container, but not too large or too small, right? So if I've got a really big container, my floral design should be 1.5 to 2 times the size of it. Okay, so it should be balanced enough that it doesn't lean over, but the vase shouldn't be the largest part of the arrangement. Does that make sense? So this is an example of a good proportion where the vase is kind of tall and skinny, but then they've got that larger, since it's taller, they've got a little bit larger of a bouquet. So if we were to take this vase and put it here, this arrangement is about 2 times the width of that vase. And so it looks really proportionate. So that kind of falls into that 1.5 to 2 times the size deal. Cool. The other thing you want to think about with floral design is the rhythm. And that is like, if you think about rhythm, what usually do you think of? It's the first thing that comes to mind. Music, maybe what you do while music is playing too, like can they tap their foot? Can they dance? Do they have any rhythm, right? Can you keep the beat? Yep, Drew's swaying. So similarly, the rhythm in a floral design is kind of the rhythm that your eyes hit when they find that floral design. So what is the emphasis? What is the first thing that your eye is going to find? And then does everything else flow in a way that it kind of takes your eyes on a little journey? It's kind of like a little path for your eyes. So it's got enough to hold the attention. And again, this could be color, material, texture. So a good example of this is this design here. What is the first thing you see when you look at this?
The purple.
The dark purple or the light purple?
The light purple, I feel like. I don't know.
So, okay, so you see the light first, it's like emphasized by the dark. Then what do you look to?
It's probably like the light purple, then the dark purple, then the green.
Okay. Did anybody else have the dark purple catch their eye first?
I had the dark purple.
You got the dark purple? So this is kind of like one of those fun games where they give you like the splat of ink and they're like, do you see a horse or a lion, right? And you're like, what? Like which one does your eye kind of see first at the contrast with like the white and the dark? So this is kind of a similar thing where like I also saw the dark purple first and then like my eyes expanded and I saw the light purple. Peyton saw the light purple first, accented by the darker background. So if we were to do one of those color spot things, she would probably see the image that's in white before she would see the image that's in black as a part of one of those splats. So it's just kind of cool depending on what kind of, I think that also goes to being like left-brained or right-brained, kind of the whole like, is the dress blue and, what was it, blue and gold or black and, remember that dress thing? It was like a big, yeah, kind of that idea too. So for different people, it'll catch their eyes different ways. But the important thing is it took me a minute to really appreciate this piece because I saw the dark purple first, then the texture of the light purple, then kind of like the cascading green through it. So there's a rhythm to that piece artistically that when I look at it, I kind of go on a journey. That being said, emphasis is really important. Like, what is the thing that you want that person to see first? What is the focal point when they look at that arrangement. Okay, so you want to have something that is going to catch the eye first. So larger and dark colored flowers are usually used in the focal point of an arrangement, but it doesn't necessarily always have to be that way. So the emphasis is also going to be whatever is kind of dominant, whatever it is that draws that person's eye. So when you look at this, what is the first thing that you see?
The 3 purple ones.
Yeah, you see like the first 3, like Horton Here's a Who, what are the Lorax little tree looking flower things? Okay, so they go immediately to that and they have a lot of support of that darker contrasting stuff. So my eye immediately goes to that purple, that's my emphasis, and then I've got other supporting stuff around it that makes it pretty too. So also depends on how much contrast you want in your design, or if you want them to be colors that flow really nicely together too. I'm trying to think if this is, yes, the last design principle that we're going to talk about is harmony and unity. Okay, so they're very closely related. Harmony is like a pleasing combination of materials. So again, that's looking at maybe colors that are going to flow nicely together. Not like when you learned about the color wheel in like 2nd grade, where blue and orange are across from each other. So unless you're going for that contrast look, you're probably not going to put blue and orange flowers in the same design, right? So you want colors that complement each other, ones that are going to flow together nicely, and that's harmony. Just like you want to harmonizing, you want a group of people that get along, that flow nicely together. So it's that same concept. Unity is when all the principles and elements are well executed. So that's even including the vase, the foliage in the back, all of those things too. Yeah, cool. So this is an example of harmony and unity. So obviously they're not the same shades, but the peach and the purple and the green all look really, and the blue kind of flow nicely together. This also being in like a wooden box, this is a really like, what kind of feel does this give you guys immediately when you look at it?
Calming almost.
Okay, it's
Like,
kind of calming.
yeah.
If you were to put this in like a decorated home, what would like that home be?
Like a rustic, I feel like.
Okay, so it gives you kind of like rustic vibes as opposed to maybe like a chic modern, right? So
Yeah.
it's like you could also have like a clear vase with like maybe not so, like this has a lot of texture in it, so maybe less texture would make it look more like chic if that's the look that you are going for. So also thinking about like the feel that you're getting from it as well. That cool?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll stop with that today. And then on Monday, we'll talk about types of arrangements and like colors and what the colors symbolize. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're going to be doing some floral stuff. Some of that time we're going to be doing carnations for the carnation sale in class. You guys are going to process and make all those bouquets. Some of that time too, you're going to be dyeing flowers, you're going to be making boutonnieres, and you're going to be making floral arrangements. So the Great American Flower Challenge coming your way. So some really cool stuff coming up next week. We'll finish talking about flowers. Like I said, like the meanings, the symbolism of the colors, the different types of arrangements that you can have on Monday. And then we'll be down to clown the rest of the week. And probably the next week a little bit too. Cool?
Did you say down to clown?
I did say down to clown, yes.
Okay.
Not ashamed.